Conversations Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations Interpreting and Translating Podcast. My name is Fatih Karakas, and I'm the head of training here at All Graduates, as well as Next PD. Today's podcast episode is our Ask NAATI episode, where you send us your questions and I ask them directly to a NAATI manager. Now, it does not get more from the horse's mouth than this. Today, joining me on the podcast, I have, as usual, he hasn't missed an episode since we first started. I have NAATI's National Operations Manager, Michael Nemarich. Hello, Michael. And
Hello.
we also have today NAATI's Marketing and Communications Officer, TrangDo. It's her first time today. Trang, welcome.
Thanks, Fatih.
Look, before I start asking your questions to Michael and Trang, I'd like to make a bit of a comment and a request from all of you out there. Now, majority of the questions and the comments come in are very, very respectful and useful questions, but there have been recently some comments and questions being made on the Ask NAATI question form, and they have been quite vitriolic comments. So basically, they have been quite nasty and disrespectful. Now, when we do these podcast episodes and when your questions come in, I really do my best to ask every single question that comes in. And you would know some of these episodes go around, the 2-hour mark. So, we do our best to ask every single question. And my guests, they do their best to answer every single question the best they can. So please, moving forward on the Ask NAATI question form, please keep your comments and your questions respectful and to the point. Also, remember, we are also restricted by time here. So if someone goes on a page-long rant, it makes it really difficult for me to fit that into a program. Now, my personal benchmark for commenting on social media and other internet forums is, would I be able to say this to a person's face? If my answer is no to that, I usually think about a more respectful way of expressing myself. So please, let's keep these comments and questions at a high level. So now that that is out of the way, I can move on to asking your questions. And I'm going to start with Michael. Just touching on some of these comments that I was just talking about. I'm not going to read through the pages and pages of comments that were made. However, I still want to address some of those things. Those who have made the comments, I'm hoping that they're watching as well, so that their concerns are still answered too. There was some comments made about mining-related test tasks from our previous episode. Someone had received, I think he was at an interpreting test, a task for mining related test task. Now, I just want to clarify something with you, Michael, and I think you've done a little bit of homework on this. Have there been any mining-related CPI test tasks in the recent years? That's Certified Provisional Interpreter test tasks. Because sometimes when these questions come in, they're not really clear about what kind of test they were sitting or they were going to sit. So I'm just going to ask all 3 different kinds of certification testing and if mining did pop up in these. So let's start with CPI. In the recent years, did NAATI test anyone on a mining related topic?
We couldn't find anything specific is probably the short answer. And I know that might seem like we're trying to weasel out of it, but we've tested about 1,000 people at CPI level over the last 12 months. We've looked back over the tasks that were done. So there's potentially 3,000 tasks that not 3,000 tasks, there are 3,000 tasks that have been sat, not that many materials. We've looked through them. We can't see anything that we could note that would be specific to mining. So for the CPI test, we look for non-complex, non-specialised terminology. For CI and CT, we look for complex but non-specialised, and then clearly our specialised tests and our conference tests are specialised and complex subject matter. There are tasks, and I know I've broadening your question a little bit from the CPI initially, but are there tasks that we could see from CPI that refer to engineers and potential work, but we don't think it was mining specific? And then in the CT tasks, there were tasks that did involve mining. It was things like press releases from Afghanistan Ministry of Industry about alignment with BHP and work in that country, or similar things to that. However, in the CT level, to accommodate for people's preferences, there's a choice of 2 out of the 3 presented tasks. So those would have been able to be missed. So without more specifics, we've gone through everything we thought we could. It doesn't mean that I didn't miss something, but all of the materials I've seen didn't look like a specialist mining subject matter in a CPI test.
All right. Well, I hope that's shedding some light on the matter. Like we said, with some of these questions, we weren't always very clear about what kind of test the person had set or was going to sit. All right. Well, thanks for addressing that. All right. Now, I've got another question for you, Michael. This is about your practice tests, and it's from a Vietnamese practitioner in Victoria. Hi, it's great that you guys offer the practice tests on NAATI. My gripe with these tests they are too easy compared to the real-life tests. Why don't they match the level of real tests? Yes, the last podcast you claimed they are real tests that have been retired. What do you think about those practice tests?
I would reiterate the previous podcast. They are real tests that have been retired, so people have definitely sat them in the past, so they are at the same level. That doesn't mean that the subject matter is always in the comfort level of the candidate taking it. For the ones that are new, we do hope to increase the number of practice tests available to candidates to give a broader variety and snapshot of what can be done. So as we retire a few more materials, we hope to add them probably early next year.
Very good. Just a little comment from me as well. And I think during a test, we all get nervous during a test, so it might actually feel a little bit more difficult in a test environment, and stress levels are much higher, and when you're practicing, those stress levels might not be so as high, and it might feel a little easier. Who knows? So there could be that included as well. But yes, so there will be more and more practice tests as you retire all the ones, and hopefully there's a bigger variety in the future.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, we, sorry to cut you off.
No, it's all right.
We obviously have the challenge that we can't make the practice test for CPI on the website live like the real test is either. So we can't have live people sitting there waiting for someone to join in. So we have got recorded materials on there, which gives a different experience than the test itself.
Yeah. You don't have practice material there, but you've got these new practice tests. I guess people can book before sitting a test, right?
That's in CT only for the certification levels at the moment. Yep.
Okay. No worries. Good to know. Same practitioner. One more question. Hi, you said last podcast that April 2023, people will have had access to the domain 3 days before their test. Do we have a specific date when this will start? I think this has started now, Michael, right?
Yeah, and if it wasn't April, it was very close to that. It was early May, maybe. But that's definitely been happening. Candidates get the brief 3 days prior for CPI tests now.
Very good. And that was a part of the continuous improvement program as well, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That was one of the recommendations. Keep in mind that this question form is open throughout the year. So some of these questions have come in before April. So when this person asked the question, it probably wasn't up and going. So since then, it is. And again, so if you are sitting a CPI test, you will get your topic and your brief and your domain 3 days before your test. And I think we did that to, also simulate real life as well, because you get a chance to prepare for your assignments in real life, unless it's an on-demand remote interpreting assignment. And now you will have the opportunity 3 days in advance to prepare for your test. And I think that's a really, really big one there. And kudos to you guys for making that happen as quick as you did. Thank you. All right. This one is from a Tamil practitioner in New South Wales, Michael. If an interpreter can pick and choose jobs in what domain they want, why can't we pick and choose domains for our CPI test? You tell us to accept work we are competent in, so we should be tested in domains we won't be competent in. I know there are domains I will never accept work in as it is boring or no interest to me. What do you think about that, Michael?
Yeah, I definitely know that interpreters will specialise over the course of their careers, or lots of them will. The test, though, and the credential has been designed to be general in nature, apart from the specialist levels, and so the test is general as well. So we're not issuing a certified provisional interpreter business, certified provisional interpreter health, for example. We're just offering certified provisional interpreter. So when the scheme was designed, back from the Improvement to NAATI testing report released in 2012, it was very much around the fact that interpreters could be called into anything, particularly with those on-demand telephone jobs. And the subject matter, I guess, that's being tested in it is general in nature, so it can be from multiple domains to match the end result of the credential that is general also.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Very, very quick and short one for you, Michael, from a Vietnamese practitioner in Victoria. How many times is there NAATI certification testing every year?
We aim for twice a year for every type of test for every language. So you should never be more than 6 months away from a test. We've been very much focused on that since the start of this year to try and make sure that we've got constant availability of tests every 6 months. Prior to that, as we were sort of rolling out the system, it could have been about once a year, but definitely twice a year is the goal. For larger languages with high demand, we go multiple days and up to 4 times a year.
Very good. So averaging most languages twice a year.
Yeah.
Very good. Trang, you've been sitting very silently there waiting for your turn. I'm going to mix it up a bit now. Something quite exciting happened in the last few weeks. As a practitioner, as an examiner, as a trainer, for many, many years, I have been using your website, and it had always been somewhat frustrating to navigate through it. So I was personally very, very happy about the launch of your new website. So while I have both of you here, congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
So these questions are going to be from a Turkish interpreter in Victoria, coming to directly at you. Like I said, the old website was quite hard to navigate. You know, you had to quite often use the search pane, and now it looks much more user-friendly. I still haven't put it to the test of going through every single page available. I think that would take half my lifetime. How did you address this issue? Like, because you had the old website to start with. Tell me what you had to go through to come to this particular final product.
Yeah, so I guess we've been starting work. I've been with the company for about 18 months now, and the website was always this big pain, and the most common feedback we'd always get is that there's so much information and we just don't know how to find it. You know, staff would tell me they just use the search function to find things because we don't know where it is. So yeah, it's a major problem. And so we've been, looking at heaps of different websites and seeing how really successful websites work. We had a consultation group prior to building this website. We engaged with future practitioners, current practitioners, on what their pain points were with the website. And we use this to address these issues and build something that we think is good for everyone. So we built this mega menu for the website, which basically outlines everything that's on the website. So there's no hidden pages. We used to have FAQs and fees just in the footer. So if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't know how to find it. So they're all front and center on the menu now. We've made the homepage we've filled the homepage with links that are most used by all our users for the website. Key tools like the online directory, verifying an interpreter or translator, and obviously the test pages as well. Our search function is also a lot more sophisticated now as well. We've got the ability to filter the search function. So if you're looking for a document or a resource or a page or a download, you can filter that so you don't have to go through pages and pages of results. So hopefully that's a lot more user-friendly for everybody.
Well, so far so good, I have to say. And we say everybody. There's quite a lot of different cohorts, I guess, using the NAATI website.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there a way for you to see from the clicks that you get, are you getting a lot of clicks on the verification or the interpreter search, or are you getting a lot of clicks on the testing? Can you see what kind of cohorts, what kind of groups are mostly using your website?
The information is vaguely helpful, the analytics that we go through. So basically how many clicks each page gets. The test pages obviously get clicked a lot. And then just through that feedback as well, that consultation group I was talking about earlier, the biggest gripe was that there's too much information. It feels overwhelming. The information is spread over a lot of pages. We just don't know how to find it. So we implemented strategies that were sort of more universal. So obviously you mentioned there's heaps of different groups. They all have different behaviors, needs and wants out of the website. And to ultimately capture all of that, we had to think of strategies that would be helpful to everyone. So that's things like rewriting the content in plainer English, minimizing the use of jargon or really explaining those industry terms if we're going to use them, implementing a hierarchy, putting headings in, breaking up that information into accordions and tabs, and also incorporating a lot more graphics. So graphics, video.
I can see that. It's much more visual now than it used to be.
Yeah, hopefully breaking up that information, because ultimately we can't do much with the information because it's important. We need you to be able to read that and comprehend that. So hopefully we can present it in a way that's more engaging for you to take in.
How did you go with rewriting so much content? Because it is definitely much more succinct, to the point. It flows better. Some of that language, it was very wordy and took a lot of space. Like, who did all the rewriting?
Yeah, I'd say the bulk of it was Lee, our strategic engagement manager. She's great at all that stuff. But a lot of help and collaboration with staff as well, because
so that was all done in-house, right?
In-house, absolutely.
So you've got a lot of linguists there as well.
Yeah, a lot at our disposal. So we took advantage of that. All the design, all the copy, all the content was done in-house. So that is great in a way because we can control all of that and we can take people's feedback in real time and make a difference straight away on the website.
Congrats again. Look, I really like it because I think our industry needs. I know that NAATI, doesn't provide training and they don't go and police interpreters and LSPs and whatnot. But I think anyone in our industry kind of needs a central website to go and get some information from. And I think with this last iteration of the website, it is more welcoming to everyone and just going in there and spending time on there. Finding out about PD, doing practice on there, finding interpreters on there, finding latest news from the industry. Sorry, I'm just looking away into my other screen over here.
Yeah.
Look, it looks like a place where I'm not scared of going on and having a bit of clicking around. For example, I saw something here called the Practitioner Hub. Like, what's the Practitioner Hub?
Yeah, so obviously our current practitioners is a huge group that often uses the website. So we wanted to create a space that had everything that they wanted from the website in one spot. So all the PD information, all the latest PD information, job opportunities that stakeholders send to us are here as well, and useful resources, which is a cool thing. It's ultimately quick links to resources that they're going to be using a lot, whether that's the PD catalogue, recertification information, the code of ethics, things that they're all in one spot. So it's easily filterable. You can find and search for whatever you need. And in saying that, we encourage all stakeholders to submit PDs and jobs and resources as well. Like, we've got dedicated forms for that now that streamlines the whole process. So you don't have to email us and give us a spiel. We can just look at the form that you send through. And also another thing that I want to encourage practitioners to do is send in a profile. We want to create this sense of community on our website, and we want you to share your story and, share your career highlights, challenges you've overcome, achievements, skills you've acquired throughout your journey. Like, this is really helpful for future practitioners and current ones as well, to read your story and create that deeper sense of connection with your community, because we've got a huge audience.
That's so true. I mean, we always say interpreters, translators, we are solitary creatures. But there's quite a few of us out there, and it would be really, really good to get to know one another. I'm just looking at the Practitioner Hub now. It's laid out very, very easily. You've got the filter again. I'm looking at something called Learn. So there's access to PD there from a whole bunch of different providers. Resources, that was what you were talking about. Interpreter use in general practice, identification brochure, translator stamp information, very good, it just keeps going, and jobs. So you can get on here and do a little bit of job hunting as well. Currently I can see some ads there from some LSPs and some translation platforms. Magnificent. All right, well, congratulations and good luck with all of it. I'm sure, like with everything else in life, it is a continuing
work in progress.
Work in progress. That's
Yeah.
right. I don't think anything's ever going to be perfect, but this is definitely on the right track here. So, well done again. And please, all of you out there, practitioners, examiners, those of you in need of interpreting, translating services, candidates, jump onto the new website, and if there's anything that doesn't work or you think can be better, they can contact you, Trang.
Yes, we want to hear it. communications@naati.com.au. We want to hear your feedback, good or bad. And yeah, we do actually take that on board.
I might just add in there, Fatih, if that's okay. There's a couple of things that Trang brought up, which was, what is the online directory? During this year, we've added some functions to practitioners' NAATI space to make online directory easier to control. So I'd recommend that anyone that wants to make sure that they advertised on there and get work, to make sure they look at their profile and check that their either phone number or their suburb or their email or web address all turned on. We've got the function to be able to turn on and off certain credentials from the directory as well. So you might be an in-house interpreter with the local hospital, so you don't want to take interpreting jobs, so you can turn off your CPI credential in the directory, but leave your translation credential on there so people can contact you to do after-hours translation work, for example. So the default for privacy reasons is that you are not listed on the directory. So if you are interested in being on there, go to your NAATI, go to My Profile, and you can update the functions on there.
Very good. So that's an opt-in. By default, your details are not on there.
Yeah, prior to 2023, it used to be it was automatically up, but we've changed it since for privacy reasons to be opt-in rather than opt-out.
Okay. Look, I get quite weekly calls and emails from customers, potential customers, So I think, like I said, it is probably the first place that people go to find an interpreter translator, if they've never worked with one before. So those of you who didn't know, now you know. So you can go in and turn your profile on and have whichever credential you want on there, have your phone number, email address on there, or not. So please go. Michael, can you repeat that link again, please? And I will put this in the episode description as well for easier access.
Yeah, so if you log into your profile via my.naati.com.au and then go to my profile, and it's under there in that menu listing where you can update your credentials and directory listing.
Wonderful, thank you. And check the episode description for that link as well. And I'll also put your communications email address in the description as well, Trang.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks very much. Michael, I'll come back to you now and keep sweating you a little bit more. All right, so this one is from a multilingual practitioner, French, Spanish, Portuguese, from Queensland. For Category 3, Maintenance of Language, can I include my own research for certain substantial jobs? I have completed translations of more than the necessary word count for the certification 3 times over, as I am certified in 3 languages. What do you think?
Yeah, so there is the opportunity for practitioners to nominate their own PD that doesn't neatly fit into other categories. For maintenance of language, it's 3.13, which very specifically says practitioners are invited to nominate additional relevant PD activities which are not listed in this section. So for something like your own research into that category, that would absolutely fit into 3.13. The excess words that were brought up, that's under 3.2. You would get additional points for excess words in excess of the work practice requirements.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the category, the PD catalogue now. And yes, completed work practice in excess, there's extra points there. Towards maintenance of language, let's say, for example, I'm preparing for a translation and I had to read an entire handbook in my language. So I think that could go towards your maintenance of language. That way Absolutely. You're preparing for your job, but you're also reading something in your language, right?
Yeah, so the PD catalogue was never designed to be onerous or costly. It was designed to be able to be flexible enough to meet individual practitioner needs. So there is the ability to put those additional PD requirements in that don't neatly fit in categories, but the categories themselves are also meant to be broad enough to meet the specific requirements. It's not for us to say whether every practitioner needs a small business workshop or a small tax accounting workshop, or whether they need to do detailed readings from a medical textbook for an upcoming assignment. So it is meant to be designed to be flexible and not overly costly.
Yeah, and more these days we have more access to free training, let's say on YouTube or something like that. So if someone goes and watches a YouTube video on business development or taxation, and it's just a matter of proving that you've done that, whether it be with a screenshot or writing a stat deck of sorts. And same thing, we had said in previous episodes that, PD can also be fun because you can go and watch a movie in your language and then you can put that down as maintenance of language, or read a book or have a newspaper subscription, and so on. So like you said, of course, there is PD out there that, there's paid PD out there, and you might have to do some workshops on certain things or do courses, and you may or may not choose to do that. But there are other options there where it could be quite cost effective and, like you said, not onerous. All right, I hope that answers your question, dear viewer. Same practitioner asking a question: having accidentally missed any ethics training for this certification session, is there any training I can do online over the next 2 months? I hope we haven't missed your recertification, and I hope that this is a more recent question. Michael, what do you think?
There should be There should be options out there. I definitely know professional associations such as OSIT and ASLEA host professional development that would be able to meet the requirements, and then other private providers, or graduates being one, being on the podcast today with them, that have some excellent resources available. And then NAATI itself, we have split our ethics course. We used to have an ethics course with the test built into it. We've now made the ethics course freely available to anyone, and the test is separate and paid. So if you couldn't find anything else, you could always do the NAATI ethics course on NAATI Learn.
That's good to know. So your ethical competency course is now separate from your ethical competency test, and you can access the course as PD, get onto NAATI Learn free of charge.
Yep. And you can access it as a guest, but it won't download a certificate. If you register with NAATI Learn and complete it, it will download a certificate for you.
All right, very good. Like you said, look, OSIT does have quite a lot of really, really good PD on ethics as well, and they have previously recorded webinars on their website that, as an OSIT member, they're quite heavily discounted. There would be other workshops and courses out there as well, but and I don't usually do this, but because it's come up now, I'll talk about our course as well. So if you get onto the nexpd.com website, that's nexpd.com website, and then you go to the filter and just click on ethics, you'll be able to see all the ethics courses that we have on offer as well. So have a look and see how many points you might need and see how much time you have to complete these courses. So, just to reiterate, NAATI's online EC course, OSIT has quite a lot of content on their website, and NextPD, have a look there as well and see whatever actually suits your budget and suits your timeline, and hopefully you can get some ethics training done before your recertification period is up. This is from a Japanese practitioner in Queensland. We've got a few questions coming from Queensland today. That's good. If the certification periods for both language directions are not the same and overlap for, say, just 3 months, can PD points that are logged during that overlapping period be used for both language directions recertifications?
Yeah, so the short answer to that is yes. The longer answer is we would hope that we would have harmonised the end dates. So where the expiry date for the 2 credentials was in 3 months, it makes a lot more sense for us to harmonise it and have it at the same time. That saves putting in 2 applications and it saves paying twice. So for that person, if they're listening, just get in contact with us at info@naati.com.au and we'll look to harmonise it so you don't have to put in 2 applications.
I've got multiple credentials, and they're all harmonised, and I got them at different times throughout my career, and I'm only paying for 1 recertification fee, and PD component covers all my credentials.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal for us. So if there has been an error somewhere that's allowed for a 3-month differential, just get in contact with us. We'll need to fix that up. We don't need to fix it up, but we want to fix that up. It makes it cheaper and easier.
Absolutely. All right. So practitioner in Queensland, get onto info@naati.com.au and just, Michael, I think that's a direct email to you most of the time, isn't it? So
yeah, I do get to see lots of them. So,
all right. A couple more questions left now. Almost there. This one is from a Farsi interpreter in New South Wales. To be recertified, you need to do certain hours of interpreting every year. Some languages, such as Iranian, which is in low demand, what do you suggest an interpreter to do to recertify?
Apply anyway is the quick answer. So we are well aware that there are some languages that it's not possible to work to meet the requirements for. What we look for is a genuine attempt and the completion of PD in particular to round out that application. So what we don't want to see is people drop out of the system because they think that they're going to lose out on a technicality. We would far prefer for someone to apply, even if they don't meet all the requirements specifically, and then we can either give guidance on how to meet the requirements or we can offer discretion in allowing it to go through. We're definitely aware that some languages are very low in demand, but some of those very low demand languages are some of the most critical ones in the community as well. So we definitely don't want to see people drop out because of that. And if there's been a specific circumstance that has prevented someone from working, so potentially it's maternity leave or an illness that's taken someone out of the profession for a year or so, we can also offer short to medium extensions up to 12 months to accommodate for that as well.
Very good. I remember during COVID, the recertification points and the work hours and the word counts were reduced as well. So, you are quite considerate, and even you have a look at individual applications as well. And it's not just an automatic system-generated rejection when they look at, hours worked or words translated, right? Are they actual people looking at these applications?
Yeah, it's all human, the people that are looking at them.
Oh, well, that's good to know. So all human, just put your application in, and then that's all you have to do. So don't hold back. Don't think, I don't have enough words, or I haven't done enough hours. We definitely still, your community needs you, the industry needs you. Just put your application through, and they'll contact you if they think that they need any further information from you. So please do put your application through, like Michael has suggested. Michael, this one is from a Bosnian Serbian practitioner in South Australia, and it goes like this. 5 years ago, I filled an application form to sit for Certified Translator Test Bosnian into English, and the test date is still not scheduled. Will there be a Bosnian test scheduled? 5 years, that's a long time to wait for a test. Michael, what do you think about this one?
Yep, and too long. So no is the answer to that. We won't be testing in Bosnian. There was a failure on our behalf when we launched the certification system, that when we were accepting applications, we didn't have any controls on those applications, so people were able to apply for anything, and the email that came back from our system made it sound like we would eventually test it. We have since corrected that, and I thought that I had emailed everyone that had an application in the system for a language that we weren't going to test. I thought I'd contacted them, so obviously I've missed this candidate. That's an apology for us.
Yeah, so just for you out there, I, for privacy reasons, I'm not reading people's names out here, but I did give you this name, and you did check, and she wasn't replied to, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's a failure on our behalf, that one. So the only things that can be applied for now, and since about 18 months ago, has been stuff that we've definitely got in the development pipeline. When NAATI tries to choose languages for development, we've got a couple of benchmarks, I guess, that we look at. So it's not possible to test in all 7,000 odd languages of the world, and even the 300 languages that are spoken in Australia, we'll never be able to test in all of them. There are some limitations for us in the number of candidates that may be able to sit it, so the pure customer demand. Along with that goes the ability to get suitably qualified examiners and test setters. And if we can't at least achieve an examiner panel of 3 or more practitioners that are experienced in both setting and marking and experienced interpreters and translators, we wouldn't go ahead and create a test in the first place, because then we can't uphold the standards properly. So we look at census data both in Australia and New Zealand. We look at what's being taught in universities and registered training organisations around the country, and migration trends as well. And we will, at the middle of next year, we'll be at 67 languages for certified provisional interpreter level. And it is likely that will be about the limit of what we can introduce, maybe 1 or 2 more over time. But we're starting to get to that limit of not having either enough candidates or enough potential examiners for the short term anyway.
Yeah. What about at the recognised practicing level? Can they get their RPTs in Bosnian?
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. Recognised practicing is open, and that's why recognised practicing exists in the system. Recognised practicing, I think, is in about 120 languages at the moment, but could theoretically be in 7,000. So what we look for in recognised practicing is still the same amount of formal training prior to applying. So the formal training in translating or interpreting is still important. People that get recognised practicing still have the recertification requirements of professional development and work practice, and they still have to adhere to the code of ethics, but there is no physical test. So we look for evidence outside of that of testing for some competence. So it can be a work reference letter, it can be a reference letter from people that you volunteered with, or we can look at other options depending on the case. Again, like the recertification application, it's humans assessing them. So we will work with the person that's applied for recognised practicing to try and get the evidence required.
And this information is available on your website, how to get recognised practicing, what kind of training they have to complete, Trang?
Absolutely, yes. We've got designated test pages for recognised practicing, so everything you need to know, even a guide on how to apply for that credential is on that one page as well.
All right, magnificent, very good. All right, well, that's it for this particular episode of Ask NAATI. Thank you very much, Trang and Michael. We have asked all the questions that have come in. And sometimes, I just want to reiterate, sometimes people just comment and I don't know how to ask that as a question. So if you have a comment, if you can follow that with a question, that'd be great. I mean, I do send all of those things to Michael, all the comments and questions. But like I said, sometimes I shorten them here or abridge them so that, they are more fitted into a time-limited program. But please, I just want to reiterate, keep your comments and questions respectful. And, it is Ask NAATI, so make sure there's a question in there, because sometimes I can't find a question in there and I can't really ask that question. And I take it as a comment like they do in Q&A. And, I do take it as a comment and I move on. So please make sure there's a question attached to your comment. And thank you, Michael. Thank you, Trang. We did miss Aurelie this time around. I hope she's enjoying her holiday in Europe. So if you are watching Aurelie, hello to you. But I think, Trang, you did an amazing job of coming in and filling in today. And congrats again on the website. And I hope you get a lot of positive and constructive feedback on the website. And keep up the great work. And Michael, thank you again so much for answering all these sometimes tricky questions. And it's good to see that we are now into season 4. And, we've done quite a few of these Ask NAATI podcast episodes now. And it's good to see that there are still fresh questions coming in. You would think that you would have answered all kinds of questions over the last 8, 9 Ask NAATI episodes now. But it's good to see every time there are some fresh questions. Michael, what do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. And always a pleasure to be here and hopefully informative for people.
All right, well done. I just want to also say that the AUSIT National Conference is coming up. That is, it's only a few weeks away now. It is next month in Sydney. And from a recent LinkedIn post, I saw that there were places still available and they had reached the 500 attendee mark. And I think it's going to be amazing. So, if you are able to, come and join us at the AUSIT National Conference. I'll be there. Michael, you coming again?
I'll be coming and presenting on one of the days as well.
Oh, wonderful. What are you presenting on?
My presentation will largely be about a very practical presentation and based on lots of the queries that we get. So it's going to be about recertification, about the digital ID, about the online directory. And a bit about testing and how we choose what to test and when. So hopefully a very practical thing that answers lots of those frequently asked questions.
Okay, very good. I'll be presenting as well. So hopefully we're not on at the same time so I can come and watch you and ask you questions. Because I haven't asked you enough questions.
No, not at all.
All right. And hopefully see you there too, Trang.
Yes, I'll be there. So come say hi to me at the NAATI booth.
All right, magnificent. Look, hope to see, if not all of you, some of you at the National Conference. I like sometimes people approach me and say, "Hey, you're the podcast guy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So it'll be really good to meet you in person if you're out and about. If not, you can always drop me a line as well at fatih@allgraduates.com.au. The Ask NAATI form is always live. So, whenever a question pops into your head, you don't have to wait for it to be announced. The link to the question form will be in the description down here. All right. So, save it, put it into your saved tabs. Whenever a question pops up, send it in. And then I will do my best to ask that question to whoever shall join us from NAATI in the next episode. But I think, I've got a suspicion that, Michael, you might be there again. What do you think?
Fair chance.
Right. Wonderful. Thanks again to my guests, Michael and Trang from NAATI. And I'm wishing you all the best wherever you may be, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Conversations Podcast.